Morning, girls. Wanna come out? Hey guys, good morning. So today I'm gonna start working on the flower bed around the chicken coop. I wanna put one in the front and one along the side. And I'm not quite ready to give you a full tour of the chicken coop because it's not quite done yet. We still have a few things left to do, although the light was just installed above the door yesterday and I think it looks really cute. I'll show you a backed up look here in a minute. And then I ordered some black shutters to go next to the window. Those just shipped this morning. So I'm hoping that this week we get those in, get those installed. And then I feel like it's a little bit more put together from the outside. Then I have a little bit to do on the inside yet, but my chickens are really happy. Everything's going really well so far. So let me back up. You can kind of see what the front of the coop looks like right here. I love the way it turned out. I love that it's white. In fact, I think we're gonna have the tool shed painted here really soon to match. So today I want to create a flower bed that starts kind of where that concrete ends and just swoops around. Just a real simple skinny flower bed on this side because this is driveway right here. I gotta figure out what to do with this arborvitae right here. I might like scoot that up to the building. Anyway, so I gotta figure this one out. And then I kind of scratched out a line. You can see, I hope you can see that, from the corner of the concrete, kind of like swooping in slightly, and then we'll swoop out and then come back in right by the door over here. Let me switch angles. So that's what the exterior run looks like from this angle. Let me move this way a bit. We followed the roof line of the existing structure and I think it turned out so cute. And the exterior run door, we just repeated the X pattern which we have on our greenhouse and our dumpster enclosure so that we have some like continuing design themes going on. And I did pop this avalanche birch just in like a half-size hole right here just to see if I liked the placement. What I'm trying to do is create a little bit of shade eventually over the run. It actually creates a little bit of shade already. Like this corner of the run gets shade in the afternoon, which is awesome. And this tree grows about 50 feet tall by 30 feet wide. So it'll be a really good sized tree, which means this area right here gets sun right now in the afternoon. So I'll be planting sun lovers and then one day I'll probably be shifting them over to shade loving plants. But what I want to do here is pop these pavers out. I want to remove all this gravel and continue the pellet walkway about to here and have a flower bed that starts at the right side of the door and kind of comes around and meets the opening here of this like brick area so that I have flower bed on this side, flower bed on this side with the walkway that meets the gravel here, and then the other flower bed will take off that direction. That way the tree will seem like semi-incorporated into the area. We also have this ash tree right here that's way in front of the chicken coop and it does provide some shade in the later part of the day. And then I'm hoping that that birch tree over there provides shade over the run. But this year I'm gonna probably be putting up some shade cloth as well, just to give my chickens a little bit of a reprieve during the hot part of the afternoon. I don't really want them to be in any kind of direct sun at all. And I am installing a fan inside the coop to just increase circulation of air. And it gets really good, I mean, it has great ventilation. We've got 3 openings, you know, 2 big windows and then that door that's open all day. So right now, like, it's perfect, but once it gets really hot, I just wanna make sure that they're comfortable. All right, so now I just need to gather some tools. This part, the gravel moving part, is not the most fun, but it must be done. I think that these are the only tools I'm gonna need. I'm gonna probably start by raking as much of the gravel as I can away with the metal tooth rake. And then this flat shovel, which I've clearly never used before, I'm excited. I think that'll scoop up quite a bit of the gravel in the more heavier areas like this. And then there are areas like my flower bed line is right here and I just have a really little bit. Those are the areas I'll try to just rake it out into the existing graveled area. And then I'll use my regular shovel right here to dig a little bit of a trench so I can sink some bricks in there as edgers. And then I've also got my bucket. And this is kind of a smaller bucket because gravel is heavy and I don't want to lift like 1,000,000 pounds of gravel every time I need to move it. I'm hoping this part doesn't take very long. So I've got the first little area pretty much done and that really didn't take very long. I got this whole area was pretty thick with gravel, and there's a tiny bit left in there, but it would take forever to try to get every last piece out. And then you can see where I've kind of raked the gravel back, and it swoops back to the door there. So before I move on to any other areas, I'm gonna go ahead and prep the soil for planting in this spot. So to do that, I'm gonna grab my rototiller and some soil amendments. I'm gonna be working in some bagged compost, some biotone starter fertilizer, and some gypsum, because we have pretty hard soil in this area, and it also helps condition high alkaline soil. So I'll probably spread all my amendments out and till them all in. So I decided to go with plant tone rather than biotone because it has instructions on how to mix it into garden beds like in the beginning. So you work it into the top 4 inches of soil at about 4 pounds per 100 square feet. I'll just try to sprinkle it evenly. And then the gypsum, you work 6 pounds per 30 square feet into the top 6 inches of soil. So I'll probably be putting 10 or 12 pounds in this area. And then this is my bagged compost, and I'll just kind of spread it out evenly as good as possible, and then I'll get my tiller out. So well, and you can see that there are some rocks and stuff in here, but now the soil is nice and fluffy, at least in the top, and I've got all of those goodies worked in. So this is the tiller. We have done a video about this before because it is a battery operated. So this is a Mantis 58 volt cordless tiller. There's the battery right there, and it used, this whole area right here used about half of a battery charge, which I thought was pretty good because it had to tear through quite a bit of stuff. Like, somehow there was a ton of thick wire and baling twine buried underneath the soil. I definitely could have used a heavier duty tiller in this area because it was pretty hard. I'm not sure that it's ever been worked before, but I was really impressed by this little one. So it only weighs about 26 pounds, but it's really easy for me to operate. Those big tillers are so heavy, and in this spot it would have been easy because it's pretty open, but in like tighter areas I can't work those huge tillers. So this one has been really nice, and it really did a good job, even though it was working through all those rocks and it had all that baling twine and wire wrapped around its tines by the end, and it still was working through all of that stuff. So basically the soil is prepped and I'm ready to plant, except for I need to create my barrier with bricks and run drip probably first. So for the bricks, I'm gonna use a shovel and just create a little bit of a trench, and I honestly don't know which shovel I'm gonna use. This is the one I usually use for planting, but I was impressed with this one, and I don't even know what it's called. Transfer shovel. This is the one I just moved all the gravel with, and it worked really, really well. So I'll create that little trench and get my bricks in place, and we'll see what it looks like. So here's a little midway update. Everything's going really well. So I started the first brick pretty much lining up with the concrete, and then I'm just kind of flaring them ever so slightly. And I'm just starting my curve back in right now. And I am doing them up kind of high because I want to have room for mulch And I want the rocks to be lower than the bricks so that they're not always on top of them or, you know, somehow escaping into the flower bed. But so far, so good. What are the odds that I would end up with the perfect amount of space? I didn't have to cut a single brick. That never happens. But look at how nice this looks, you guys. It just creates a nice little barrier. In the end, you probably won't be able to see a whole lot of it because I'm gonna have so much stuff planted in here, but it's just nice to have that clean line. I do think what I'm gonna do, I did till right here just to kind of soften that soil, and I'm gonna lay bricks right here, right underneath the door, maybe like double wide, so that it will deter anything from digging underneath. I think that's a better idea than gravel. So I've been sitting here deliberating what I should do about the doorway, if I should run some bricks underneath it, but the concrete for the post comes out really far, so I'd only be able to fit like 3 bricks, so it would look kind of weird. So I think I'm just gonna go the gravel route, but I did remember that I do have to run some of this black poly tubing. Let me turn the camera around and explain. My access for water for drip tubing is gonna come from this side, so I have to have a way to have it go underneath the pathway and then into this flower bed right here, because otherwise I would have to go underneath that concrete step, and I don't really want to have to do that. This is pretty easy, so I'm just digging a little trench right there. I will just pop a piece of this in there with open ends, and then I'll tap into it later, and that way I at least have it in place. Oh, that ground's hard. Look at that. Jeez. Pretty good. So that little job is done. So as you can see, the black poly, it kind of comes up right there and it goes down into a little trench, which I'm not going to cover with dirt. I'm just going to cover it all with gravel. And then it comes underneath this brick up into the flower bed, and then I can just put a straight coupler into that and then take off with my drip tubing when I get ready for that step. But I'm gonna take a break now and go have some iced tea, I think. It's getting warm out here. All right, I've got my iced tea, so I'm good to go for the next section here. I just wanted to go over it one more time. So now that this part is done, I'll start with brick right on this beam right here, and we'll go kind of a swoop over to that beam right there. And essentially this whole area will become plantable area except for the continuation of the pallet walkway, which will come out and meet the edge about right in here somewhere. So I have to remove all of this gravel and get it all tilled up with all my soil amendments, and then we'll do our brick lining. And this has actually been a really fun project so far. I think it's because it's such a tangible result. Sometimes I do projects where I'm like, oh, I can't really tell that I did much, you know, but this, like with the brick lining of the area and the really nice fluffy soil, you can really tell that something fun is about ready to happen. So it makes kind of all the gravel work a lot easier. Oh my gosh, you guys, I'm so proud of this area. It's looking so much better. So I got my little swoop of brick done right here, and I got all of the amendments spread and tilled into the soil. I did run into a bunch of old landscape fabric that kept getting all twisted around the tines of the tiller, and it was a total pain. I don't think I got it all. In fact, I can still see a little piece right there. So what I'm gonna do is, as I plant this area up and encounter more pieces of that, I'll just pull it up as I find it. But that birch tree will end up about right here, which is a tiny bit back from where I had it. But it just didn't work out to bring the swoop out so dramatically and then right in. And then also, let me get close here. We decided just to bring the brick right to the pot. The reason for that is that if I were to move the pot any more inward, that means I'd have to mirror it on the other side. It would make the walkway too narrow. If I move it to the left, then we won't be able to utilize those brackets for hanging baskets because the spiral is too tall and it would be right in the way. So we're just gonna leave them be, and I think it looks totally fine the way it is. And then I'm gonna get my hands hopefully on some more pallets. I'll cut up some boards and continue the pallet walkway right to the edge. And I may or may not pull up bricks wherever I end up with that walkway, but I think it's coming along beautifully. Also, another thing I didn't think about and I had to take time to fix was this area was way too raised. There was no way I was going to be able to do a layer of stone and still have the door open freely. And check this out. It opens perfectly, but I had to till this area like 2 or 3 times and then remove all the soil so that it could be like low enough to where that door could still open free. I am gonna add a sweep to the bottom of the door though, just so it eliminates any kind of opening right there, but it did fix it quite a bit. There isn't as much of a gap as there was. So I just have the one small area left on the side of the potting shed, and I'm actually really thankful for the breeze. There's quite a nice breeze going through the area today, and it's making this job actually kind of pleasant. So here we are on the side of the chicken coop. The cord that you see there will be gone. I just tacked it up out of the way of the tiller for now. It's what runs my pineapple fountain right back here, which also these tulips are amazing. Pinatage blend from Color Blends is one to repeat. We are like getting into the middle of May and they still look amazing. So what I'm gonna do is start on this side of the concrete pad there, just like on the other side with my brick. And I'm just gonna make a nice narrow swoop just because we have driveway right here and I don't want to narrow it down too much. But I'm going to bring the brick right up to meet these pavers, which I've never cared for these pavers very much. They've done well, like they've done their job, they've served their purpose. But when I have time, I'd like to pull all of these up and continue on with the brick. So hopefully this little section goes really fast and maybe I'll actually get some plants in the ground today. This side's all done, and we had already moved out a great big container that has an arborvitae that actually traveled with us from our last garden, and this arb lived in this pot for 3 years prior to us moving here, and we've been in here for 3 years, so it's been in a pot for 6 years. It was out during our super bad winter where it got to -17 and it's still thriving. So I just throw some plant tone in there a couple times a year and that's it. It's a super easy care plant and it really does fill in that corner really nicely. And so this area I just kind of did more straight. You know, we came out with a curve right here and then I just went straight with them all the way to the pavers. So it does look a little bit weird right there, but like I said, I'll take those up and continue on with brick. The wind is starting to pick up right now and I have a whole bunch of watering to do, but I am gonna plant that one birch tree because I really want to get at least one plant put in this area after all of this work today. And if I have to pick it up after it's fallen over one more time, I'm gonna lose it. So we'll put it in the ground right here. So everything turned out perfect. The tree I think is perfectly placed because you can see where it's already shading, like it's going that way, that direction toward the coop, or toward the run rather, and it starts to shade in that back corner. So you know as it starts to broaden out and get a bigger canopy on it, it'll shade even more and more and more of the run, which is what I need it to do. And I think the placement, I know it looks a little odd, like, you know, you don't normally plant a big tree right at the front of a flower bed, but this is going to be serving a purpose that's more important. than design, and I think I can design around it and it'll look just fine. Like, I think it'll look pretty to have, like, train the branches to where it's like a natural arch right here over the walkway. There's Russell, he just found the soft dirt. Are you taking a soil bath? You're a funny boy. And then you can see the ash tree. We're getting into the afternoon now, and so it does shade it toward the hottest part of the day, which is perfect. Like, the shade will grow here pretty rapidly, and I hope that the wind isn't messing up our audio too bad. But we'll just take one more look around the side here. And we came out at a kind of a swoop and then went straight, since this is the straight part of the driveway, and then we'll start to curve it again when we go back around. But I'm thinking maybe just hostas right in here, because honestly most of the day it gets pretty much like pretty good shade. There's a little bit of sun in there, but I think hostas might be the best bet, with something like colorful and sun-loving right up in the front here. So that's pretty much it for this video. I hope it was interesting to you guys just to see how I go about starting a flower bed. And this is a little atypical. I'm usually working with sod. I'm usually cutting sod out to create a flower bed, not moving gravel. Although I don't know which one is easier. They're both kind of hard work, but so satisfying to do, and I cannot wait to start filling it up with flowers, and we will do more videos as I start to do that. I do have some plants out in the greenhouse right now that are ready. Like, I kind of know where I want some of them to be placed, so we'll start in on that here pretty soon. And also amending your soil. I think it's so important, especially if you're working in an area where there's really never been anything planted in these spots that I know of, and so I'm not really sure what the soil's like. I mean, it was pretty hard. There were a lot of rocks in it. So I wanted to make sure to add in a bunch of good stuff right from the very beginning, you know, the compost, the plant fertilizer, some nutrients in there that the plants can immediately take up. And then the gypsum helps break up any hard pan and also helps condition the soil, because when you have too high alkaline of soil, it binds up nutrients that might be in the soil, but they are bound up to where your plants can't take them up. So gypsum helps condition the soil, bring the alkalinity down a bit, so that the plants can start taking up nutrients. So anyway, we'll have a lot more videos surrounding the chicken coop in terms of planting, and a tour when it's all done. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. I'm gonna go water all of my plants now. Bye.